Welcome on in, everybody, to another edition of the WyoNation Roundup. It has been a long time since we've done a roundup. Mr. Bryan Stevens, how the hell are you?
Doing great, Chad. How are you?
I am fine as well. I think it's safe to say that it is almost, or it's summerish weather here in the Rocky Mountains.
Hey, we're getting there. Except it got cold and started raining in Cheyenne this afternoon, but
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
still
yeah.
take it.
Little front came through today, but some nice weather. So we hope everybody is enjoying the outdoors. And we've got a big show for you today. As you know, the University of Wyoming basketball staff, led by one Sundance Wicks, has just finished up their portal recruiting for the year. And we have a men's basketball roster to break down. And it's crazy to think, Bryan, that it doesn't seem like too long ago you and I were doing the same thing with last year's roster.
It does seem that way, and this is a way different story. So, for a reminder for everybody, last year, Sonny got hired around this time and had 17 days to put a roster together. He got that roster put together. We did about as expected on this roster breakdown last year. You and I pretty much agreed that if we got to 500, it would be one hell of a season. That's not how it turned out, and that's okay. We still saw some good ball. We saw some good players, and then everybody left again. But most of the people that left this time, I am willing to bet. Well, first of all, a bunch of them were seniors.
Yeah.
The ones that did not come back, that still had eligibility left, I think obviously we would have loved to keep Obi around. You know that Sonny would have loved to keep Obi around too, but Obi got a bag and good for him. He proved himself. He's moved up several times now, so we all wish him the best. Everyone else that left, I am willing to bet that they were told this isn't the place for you.
Yeah, because if you look at the places that they've gone to, it hasn't been a move up.
Yeah. So we've got two that still don't have a place. Nigel Cook, who I can't imagine he won't find a landing spot. He's got talents. I don't know what the deal was in Laramie, why he couldn't break the roster, but we talked to him last year. He's a really good kid. He's, from everything we hear, he's one of the best shooters that's going to be on the floor for any team. It sounded like that maybe defense and hustle weren't his strong suits quite yet. Scotty Abube is the other one that has not found a landing spot yet. And as we know, he was suspended several times last year. When he's dialed in, he is one hell of a post player. But it seems like his head often wasn't in the right spot, which is a bummer to see. He was one of my favorite players to watch last year, but if you don't have your head right, you can't be on the floor.
That's right. So welcome to everybody watching on X. We see you there. And then the best place to get the best experience is to head on over to YouTube. We are on YouTube Live right now. At WyoNation is our channel name over there. So youtube.com/@WyoNation. Head over there and you can participate in the chat. You can send questions to the show here, and we will, break them down live. We'll answer your questions live. So we appreciate you all. It's been a long time since we've done a roundup, and we're going to get back into the groove here, but we're starting with basketball. And then we'll start doing some like football position breakdowns now that we're getting some stuff out of UW itself with the lack of a depth chart. These Ryan Thorburn pieces are kind of right straight from the coach's mouth. And so I'm waiting for all those to get out, and then we'll start breaking down some football. But let's get into the basketball. Let's bring up this roster.
Yeah. So let's keep going through the folks that left here.
Sure.
Javian Starwood, we confirmed that he retired due to medical reason.
Yeah.
We wish him the best. He was pretty highly rated recruit coming out, so it's a bummer that he never got to see the floor. Levi Brown, he was a walk-on. He committed to Casper College. Wish nothing but the best for him. He's a Laramie guy. We hope he does well. AJ Wills went to Hofstra.
Mm-hmm.
AJ was very talented. I would have liked to see him stick around. Obviously, the coaches had other plans for him. That's okay. We wish him well. Oleg Koyenets, he never really looked like he was ready for the Mountain West. He landed at Stony Brook, and we all know that Agnew made it over to Baylor. So our returning players we'll start with. We've got Garrett Spielman, walk-on from Sheridan. He was here last year. He redshirted, and the coaches keeping him around with only 3 returning players coming back is a big deal. It sounds like he's got a lot of promise. He's going to be a guy that I would expect we'll see at the very least some time towards the end of the games. We're pretty deep at the small forward / power forward position. We'll get into that, but good to see Garrett Spielman back. Abu Magassa, he's a little small for a power forward at 6'7", but we saw last year that, man, he just got better and better as the year went on. Every time I was in Laramie doing something with the basketball team, if there was one guy in the gym working on a shot, it was Abu. He was shooting free throws. He was working on turnaround jumpers. Worked on threes from time to time, but he's really dialing in on the things that he needs to do. And if he keeps working like that, he's a guy I expect to see a lot of out of this year. And we've got Matija Belic. As we saw last year, Belic was a big-time player once he got healed up from his shoulder surgery. He came in, provided an immediate offensive spark. He's a good one to have back for sure. We get 1 more year out of Matija. We get 3 more out of Abu. So we are happy to see those guys back.
For sure. For sure. And then, at a later time, maybe we'll kind of break down in depth maybe some of the jumps that the guys who stuck around played. But today we're going to focus on the new players. We'll just run them down in alphabetical order here. So we're at the top. Let's talk about one, Caden Bennett, a junior guard. He's the one from Quinnipiac.
Yes, sir. So yeah, he was a big time signing. Just a second, pulling up my notes on him around here somewhere.
I know he averaged like 10 points a game there. Started maybe 20 games last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to get to the NCAA. That's the one player I don't have a ton of notes on. He was a big get. He's a good character guy from what we hear. He's looking for some time. He's looking to come in and make an impact. He's got good size. He's got good experience at the D1 level. Is Quinnipiac in the Patriot League? Is that right?
I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe look up their record too. They might be in the Northeastern League if they're not in the Patriot.
They're in the Metro Athletic Conference.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of schools up there in the Northeast.
Yeah. So safe to say that, stepping into Wyoming in the Mountain West is a big step up for him. I'm sure he was one of the earlier signings by the coaches. They were very excited about him. So I expect that he is going to be a major contributor for us this year. All of these upperclassmen that the coaches brought in this year are going to do some big things for us. I can all but guarantee.
That's a great question, Austin. I think after we go through these players, we'll bring that up and we'll talk about it. So excellent question. Thank you for joining us. All right. So yeah, there is Caden Bennett, and he really profiles as more of a shooting guard, correct?
He does. He's gonna be a 2 guard for us, 2 or a 3. One of the big things that we're gonna see this year is we're a small team. We're gonna be playing some small ball. All the size on this team is in the freshman class, so you can all but guarantee a few. We're gonna see a couple of guys redshirt in the freshman class, but there will be a few that play for sure.
Okay, next up alphabetically is Demarion Dennis. He is a point guard from Senate.
Demarion Dennis is a big-time point guard. He is not a scorer. I know when we signed Demarion Dennis, there were a lot of people that are saying, well, how is he ever going to replace Obi? He's not going to replace Obi.
No.
What he will do, though, is get you an 8-to-1 turnover ratio, assist to turnover ratio.
Yeah.
The guy
from Corpus Christi, Texas.
Yep. What is it? Texas A&M Corpus Christi, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a facilitator. He is curing a lot of woes that we had over the last few years of people that weren't true point guards bringing the ball down the court. Obi is a shooting guard. He's not a point guard. He got turnover prone when he sped up too much. Hunter Maldonado, we know damn well that he is a forward, but he did his best.
He was a point forward.
Yeah, he did his best bringing the ball up the court, and we appreciated the hell out of him. But we haven't really had a true point guard since Marcus Williams was the last time we had an actual point guard come in, and it was his freshman year, and he never really brought the ball up.
No, because Hunter was there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it'll be good to see him. I expect big things out of Demarion Dennis, and we're going to love that guy because he shoots free throws well and he doesn't turn the ball over.
Yeah. So just think, folks, how many times we probably lost several games just on turnovers alone.
And free throws.
Yep. So what was he free throw wise? Like 90%, this guy, right?
Yeah, I'm pulling up his stats right now. Here we go. I don't think it's 90%. It's in the high 70s, low 80s.
Okay.
Which is reasonable. Yeah, last year at A&M Corpus Christi, shot the three at a 38.7% clip. He was just under 80% on free throws, 79.4%.
Mm-hmm.
Only scored 6.7 points per game, but he dished out 44 assists and had a total of 18 turnovers last year.
Yeah.
Throughout 32 games, 34 games.
Yes. Incredible. Less than a turnover a game as a point guard. Perfect.
Yeah. So he's somebody I'm very excited about, and not for the points aspect for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. I mean, we've talked about some of the high school guys already, but I guess right now that we know the complete roster, what are we thinking about Mr. Gavin Gores, who was highly recruited out of the Midwest, had power offers, but stuck with Wyoming?
Yeah, he's a big get. You know, Gavin Gores chose to come play for Sundance Wicks over playing for guys like Brad Underwood. Like that's a high bar to clear, man. You got a scholarship offer to Illinois as a big. That's saying something. The fact that he is still coming to Laramie is going to be huge. This is one of those freshmen that I would not expect to see a red shirt. He plays at a very, very high level. He needs to put on a little more size still. He's only 210, standing 6'10", but that'll be doable over the off season with the strength staff. He's a big body. The guy's he's gonna clean house on the boards. He is more of a traditional forward. He'll step out, but he's a guy that you're gonna see banging around in the paint.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Yeah, and we'll obviously learn more about him. Next guy here, out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Something I don't really know about this guy because there's not a whole lot of film on him coming from where he came from. Adam Harakow. Do you believe?
Yeah, coming to us from Lake Superior State.
Which is that a D2 school?
It is a D2 school in Minnesota.
Okay, there we go.
Land
of 1,000 lakes.
Yeah, this guy's a wing player, scores at a high level, rebounds really well, and he's got a motor, man. He is all over the place. Very active on defense.
Great.
That's kind of a theme that you'll hear from a lot of these players that Sonny brought in. I think much like the last coaching staff, defense is going to be a big time key for us.
Okay, and then in terms of his play, I think if I remember correctly, when he did commit, I was looking at him. He seems to be kind of a well-rounded player. Does some assists in there, some rebounds, plays defense, can score a little.
Yep, he does well. He's listed as a guard, but with his height, he's a wing player.
Yeah. I have him kind of marked down as a small forward for us.
Yeah, that's where I've got him too. I've got him at the 3.
Yeah.
But again, we're so young at the center and power forward position. There's going to be a lot of times we're going to see 4 guards on the floor.
Oh yeah, he might be your power forward in a lot of instances if we. Yeah.
He's a guy that I expect to see fill kind of the Jordan Nesbitt role from last year, kind of a Swiss Army knife kind of player.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see how all this works. And I'll have some more thoughts on roster building after we get through the players. All right, next one is by far the most talented player on paper and by the recruiting rankings that Wyoming got. But it does come to a downside.
This guy's the most highly rated player to ever come to Wyoming to play basketball.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's saying something because we had Dante Allen on.
Oh, and we just lost Bryan. We'll give him a second to come back. But yes, Jared Harris is a transfer from the University of Memphis. And here we go. Bryan is back.
Where'd you lose me?
Yeah, you were just talking to him about he's being the highest rated player to play for Wyoming. Is he higher than, was it Sasha Baines before? Was like,
oh yeah, this guy was a consensus top 100 player coming out of high school last year. 4-star guard. He committed to Penny Hardaway in Memphis. Saw a little bit of time there, not a ton. I imagine he saw the writing on the wall that he wasn't going to get a ton of playing time, and he is absolutely talented enough to be the number 1 on this team.
Sure. Seems that way.
Scores at a very high rate, very fast hands on defense. Wasn't able to catch on too much with Memphis last year, but this is a guy that we are really going to like having in Laramie. This is one that Sonny specifically said, if this is a guy we can get to stick around for multiple years, he's going to be a difference maker.
Sure. So yeah, obviously very talented, but the downside we heard to him is that he lacks, I guess, focus at times.
Yeah, he needs the right motivation, which, as we saw from Sonny last year, is his strong point. He gets guys motivated. Jordan Nesbitt last season, he's another guy you could say, man, he could have been so good if he was just motivated. He got motivated, and he was able to take over games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Harris is kind of like a wild card on this team. We don't know what this team's going to look like, but I mean, the better that he is to kind of shore up that scoring, I think that's going to be the key. And we'll get into more on that later because I think he's kind of the linchpin to this entire thing, believe it or not.
Yeah, this is the splashiest signing that we got this year.
Mm-hmm. All right, we talked about Abu, who's a returner. We talked about Naz Meyer, too, earlier on some shows this year and then last year when we talked about basketball. But have we got any more information about him? It seems that it's kind of quiet, but I think he was a 3-star player coming out of high school.
Yeah, he's a sneaky good get. He's a combo guard, again, 6'7". He's going to be out on the wing, but he chose to come play for Sundance over coming to play for Shaka Smart at Xavier. So that's kind of, well, not Xavier, sorry, Shaka's at Marquette, but yeah, chose Wyoming over the likes of Xavier and Marquette and George Mason. He's a scoring machine. This is a dude that's going to come in and pour a bunch of points in. I haven't been able to see much from him on the defensive end.
Yeah.
And he is a freshman. This is one of them that we could see possibly redshirt.
Yeah, I agree.
But he's going to be a very explosive player on the floor.
Hopefully. All right, next one under here. I'm pretty excited about this guy. Just seems to be just a born winner. I wish they would release some pronunciation guides for some of these guys.
Oh, this is Uriah Rojas.
Is it just Uriah? Okay.
Yeah.
I figured so, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to overthink it. But yeah, Uriah Rojas coming from a JUCO where he averaged over 20 points a game last year.
Yeah. And at the guard position, over 7.5 rebounds a game too.
Yeah, that jumped out at me.
Yeah. So this guy's a junior college All-American. Yeah, made over 70 3-pointers last year. Sonny brought this guy in to score. But you will see his defensive prowess too, as evidenced by grabbing 7.7 rebounds a game at 6'3". This guy's going to come in and fly around the floor, and we're going to see a lot of him this year.
Great. All right, the newest one. Let me get back to my regular tab here. The newest member of this class, and the last from Estonia, is Sim Martin Sadi.
Yes, sir. So Sim Martin Sadi was committed to Drake. He was one that came in at the last minutes. This is going to be he's going to be a banger. He is a Euro 4, so we're going to see him step out. We're going to see a guy with some handles, but he's got a big body and he's going to rebound. That's exactly what we're looking for with this type of player. I imagine he's still got a little bit of growing to do as he is 18, but he played on the Estonian national team, which tells you what kind of caliber player we're getting.
Yeah, and so being committed to Drake, I think, is a good sign. They don't recruit slouches. When Drake, coach, took the Iowa job and took the Wyoming boys with him, this young man asked to get out of his commit. He not only was committed, he was signed with Drake.
Yeah, he has to get out of his NIL.
Yeah, so he got out of his contract there and is on his way to Laramie. And it was really much needed to get another guy with some size because we were pretty worried this past week, weren't we?
Yeah, we were sweating a little bit. I'm still not gonna lie, I'm still a little nervous about our size because again, all of our size is in the freshman class, so I'm a little worried on that end, but we'll see how it goes.
All right, next one up here is Keani Saxon.
So,
who comes to us? He's a Kiwi.
Yeah, this guy's really interesting. So we'll talk about coaches here in a minute, but as most of us that are watching this know, Will Martin came over to be an assistant coach. Will Martin is the guy that took over at Missouri Western when Sundance Wicks came over to be an assistant at Wyoming. Keani Saxon followed Will Martin over from Missouri Western. From what we have heard, from what Sonny has told us, and from what we've seen on tape, frankly, this is very much a Cole Henry type of player. He's directing traffic. He's not necessarily stuffing the stat sheet, but he's in the right place at the right time, doing the right things. He's going to start for us. 100%, zero doubt in my mind. This guy's starting for the Cowboys this year.
Okay, yeah, and we'll get into that for sure. I don't think I guess we have a couple more new guys, but yeah, we'll talk more about him after that. So great. So we talked about Spielman and the walk-on from Sheridan who's sticking around, which is really interesting, folks, because again, Wyoming with the new roster limits, which may or may not be in play anymore, who knows? But right now the rule is 15. Right now we've got 13 scholarship players and 2 walk-ons. I noticed they don't have the other walk-on on here yet, but that's probably just because he hasn't enrolled in school.
Yeah, that would be my guess too.
Yeah, so they probably won't add him until the fall officially. So, but he is a player out of Idaho. Is his last name's Taylor or is his first name Taylor?
I can't recall.
Yeah, but he's a high school kid out of Idaho. And we could talk more about him once basketball season gets closer. Neil Summers, we know all about. If you have not watched it yet, Bryan and I interviewed Neil, maybe a month and a half ago after he won the Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of Wyoming. So we will link that video at the end of this one if you have not seen our interview with Neil.
Yeah. Thanks again for Neil for taking the time for us. Neil's another one that he's going to He's going to be very much in the post, but he's a guy that can step out on you too. We don't know if we're going to see Neal right away. I think he's got a high enough skill set to be able to play. It just all depends on where he is mentally and physically and if he's ready. But he's a big body. He's the biggest player on our team this year. And he's going to, if he does play, he's going to cause a lot of gravity. He's going to take up a lot of room and really make people, crash down on him.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting to see how this staff evaluates the players over the summer here and then the fall to see who is going to be in these rotations. Be, again, interesting to see what our exhibition season looks like to get to see some of these guys and then see who redshirts. But at the same time, knowing in this portal era, man, I don't know if you could redshirt anybody because it's kind of foolish because sure, you could redshirt them, but you're just doing it for somebody else's school.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting to see how that will shake out. All right, last one here of the new players is another guy I'm very excited about, another point guard, Leland Walker.
This isn't under the radar yet. Florida Atlantic has been very, very good the last few years. Leland Walker was only at Florida Atlantic for a year. He played 2 at Eastern Kentucky before that. This guy is an assist machine, man. Dished out 4.5 assists a game for a team that went to the Sweet 16. Was Florida Atlantic this year?
Did they? They made it that far. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, maybe around a 32. They did win at least a game that sure. I'm aware of. He's really good. I'm really surprised that he left Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
But we'll take him, man. We'll take him. We've got 2 legitimate point guards, and I would almost be willing to bet that neither one of them is going to see more than 25 minutes a game.
Perhaps, yeah. That'd be interesting. Yeah, that's all about the team building. So,
another thing to mention on Walker, much like Demarion Dennis, 80% free throw shooter.
Great. Yeah, so a lot of things to talk about. But Austin, and I'm sorry, Austin, we wanted to get through that. Great question, Austin. Do you know what our NIL budget is for basketball?
Short answer, no.
We don't.
We have no idea.
And look at this, dude. They changed the graphics. They used to be like different colors and stuff now, but now they come in gold and brown. So that's nice. Nice little improvement in the software that they made. It's probably not going to be much, but that is a good question. I think, I don't know, right? With the NIL out there, right? Wyoming's never going to be like probably even average. We're probably in the lower third, the bottom quarter, heck, maybe even the bottom 10% in the country. So
I would be willing to bet we're a mid-tier Mountain West team. So somewhere
you think, okay, so maybe higher than what I think.
Total blind guess, I'd say somewhere around the $600,000-$700,000 range
for the entire team.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say Leland Walker and Jared Harris are probably eating up most of that this year.
Okay. Yeah, and I have no idea, and I think it's going to come out eventually, right? Especially once all this settlement gets out, you're going to kind of know what these players are getting. But at least at Wyoming, they're not just getting paid, right? And so that I'll get on my soapbox for a little bit, right? That was the whole idea of this NIL, was for kids to be able to put their name, image, and likeness out there to make money, because before it was illegal. But now we've kind of completely jumped the shark to where we're just paying kids to show up. But at least at Wyoming, they're doing a lot of great work with the Boys and Girls Club. A lot of these guys, that's where they're getting paid from. They'll be doing, pitching local businesses and stuff like that. So these guys are earning their money, but at a lot of schools, it's sign your name and show up and you get paid.
Yeah. And we are anything but mouthpieces for the university guys, but I will tell you, if you want to see competitive teams, donate to the One Wyoming Collective. That's the NIL arm of the school. You can love or hate the fact that this exists, but the fact of the matter is, if we want to be competitive, we have to be competitive with our payroll too.
Yeah. So Austin thinks $300K. Who knows, right? but that's
Yeah,
still a lot more than
I
I
would
think.
guess we're north of that, significantly north of that. I don't think we're at 1 million, but I think we're probably around 600.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that will come out eventually, especially as it matures. So thank you, Austin, for hanging out with us tonight, and everybody else. So that's kind of the rundown through the roster. And I just wanted to talk briefly before we go into a starting five type of thing, is kind of the lessons that maybe Sonny learned from last year. Even though the situations were different, obviously he had more time. But I think a lot of people are underwhelmed with who we brought in. But I'm
Yeah,
not, because
I am not one of those
yeah,
people.
but I think a lot of people are, because they're expecting, bringing in like more proven talent. But I think we brought in what we thought was a lot of proven talent last year, and most of those guys fell flat on their face. So remember, this isn't fantasy basketball. You're not putting together an all-star team. You're building a functional team. And I think that's what they focused on. Like the guy from Western Missouri, right? Like, who on earth would even thought that would be looking at Western Missouri to grab a guy? You're grabbing guys to fill roles, because I think the problem we had last year was we just had too many guys who thought that they were going to start. And when you have 2 or 3 guys who think they're going to start and they don't start, then they pout and their work ethic gets bad, and that has an impact on the team. I'm not saying that it happened, right? But it's just human nature.
Well, we're aware that it happened last year. We saw a few players get suspended. We saw a few players get balled out on the sidelines, man.
Yeah.
We are well aware that effort was a problem with the team last year. And we are extremely thankful for all the players that came to play for Wyoming last year. But the fact of the matter is we had our choice from the bottom of the barrel of the transfer portal. Sonny picked up what he could and worked with him as best as he could. And for the metrics of the situation, I think he did pretty damn good.
Okay. Great. I'll toss this back up here really quick down here. I guess for people, Bryan, who don't know what happened, can you kind of walk us through the staff changes?
Yeah, a couple of staff changes. So Pat Monahan, who was, as far as I could tell, probably one of the top assistants, left to take a job at Nebraska. So replacing him, we heard that Chris Thomas was coming in. Chris Thomas came from KK Sabona Zagreb, which is a Croatian team. He was the head coach over there. Big international guy. Their paths crossed years and years ago. I believe I was reading a story that Sonny was an assistant at Northern Illinois or something along those lines. And Chris Thomas met him there and was super impressed with him. And as you will see with the players that Sonny signs, the coaches that he signs, character is the biggest thing he is looking for.
Sure.
We'll see it with the roster too. We are trying to get some time with Sonny, and we're definitely going to ask about what he's looking for in a player. But the talking point that he's given everybody so far is he's looking for OKCs, our kind of Cowboys. He is looking for high character young men that will be able to play the style of basketball that we want to see in Laramie. And Chris Thomas is a guy that will be able to help mold these guys and help them grow as basketball players and as people.
Sure. And so Coach Thomas, much like Whitmore, is kind of going to be probably our 2 big Euro recruiters, right? So Thomas, a lot of time in Europe coaching, but he also, I do believe this is the guy who has a lot of links to the Toronto Raptors.
Yes,
right?
That's correct.
He was a scout for the Raptors when they won the title, so he's worked with Nick Nurse. I guess he was the head coach of their G League team for a while too. Mm-hmm. So this guy has a lot of experience as a high-level basketball coach.
I am willing to bet that there's a direct connection between him and Sim Martin-Sadi.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't heard yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a good chance. Yep.
Another coaching change, Pat Stacy. Pat Stacy was brought in last year as the general manager. He has been hired over to be the director of operations, personnel management, stuff like that at North Carolina State.
Correct.
We're going to try to get Pat on to talk to us at some point this summer after he gets settled in. I think that, number one, Pat's got a hell of a basketball mind, and he is the perfect guy to have for roster management. I also think he is in very, very high demand.
No doubt.
And I hope that he has found a way to be on the staff at NC State and still be able to help out with a few select other schools that want to keep using his services.
Correct. Yeah. And that's, he did make a brief comment to you when you got a hold of him and said that he will be helping Sonny out still in some capacity, probably right. Just with the database and tracking the statistics that they want to find the profiles of the players. And that's the way every sport's going. I think if you notice now, like the NFL and college football are hiring a ton of these guys as well now, who are just pure analytics guys who are trying to find, these hidden gems. So yeah, it's good to see.
Yeah.
All right. Another staff change. And we talked about it a little bit. I guess this wasn't announced. So that's 1, 2. So really Thomas kind of replaces Monahan. Martin came in, I guess, as kind of the replacement for Stacy.
Yep. Right? And another coach that left, and we've heard he's left. We've confirmed that. Not sure where he went, if it was retirement or if he took another position, but Sean Vandiver is for the first time in 14 years, not on staff in Laramie.
Mm-hmm. And he is being replaced by former Wyoming Cowboy great point guard Chris McMillan. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't listened to the Go Pokes podcast, is that what Thorburns is called?
1YO podcast.
Is that it? Okay, I forget what it's called, but he had McMillan on for it's like a 34-minute talk, and it's excellent. So if you have not listened to that, you'll kind of get the background of how Chris got here, and then they talk a little about his career and how he got here as a player, and what he's going to be able to do. Since
he kind of didn't like Jay Strait when he got there because they were both players and he wanted to play, but they got it all sorted out.
Yeah, they get into that, which was kind of a little surprising. Yep. But again, right, that's competition. And and he does. There's some pretty interesting things that came out of that situation that Chris talks about with his injury and Jay Strait coming in and all that. But I guess the big point is, right, there's not too many people. In fact, there's only a handful. There's not too many of those guys are even coaching, right? But how many coaches who have been around the country who's played at Wyoming, who will walk into someone's living room and say, you can win a title at Wyoming. I did it.
Exactly.
So I think that's going to be pretty great to have. And he's paid his dues, kind of bounce around. I know he's been in the Mountain West before, or maybe Hawaii might've been in the WAC back then, but he was kind of like a strength coach and a basketball coach at Hawaii for a while. He was most recently let go at Central Michigan late in the cycle.
Yeah, because of a coaching change at the top at Central Michigan. Guy brought in all his own assistants. He's happy to be back in Laramie. He loves being back in Laramie.
He was beaming. So yeah, listen to that. And then we might try to get Chris on this summer.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot for sure.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to mention when you look at the coaching staff and when you look at the team itself, there is a lot of connection to Wyoming basketball here. Not just players that are coming into play for Wyoming, people that bleed brown and gold. They live and breathe Wyoming. You got Sundance Wicks, who came down from Gillette. He always wanted to be in Laramie. Was there as an assistant, couldn't wait to come back when they offered him the head coaching job. That guy is happy as hell to be here. Chris McMillan, who won a title here, who was very grateful to be back. The first thing he did was take a picture of the championship banner hanging in the AA when he got there. And then we have two players on the team. You got Garrett Spielman, Sheridan guy, wanted to be in Laramie, got to stick around even after the roster overhaul. And you've got Neil Summers, who grew up in Laramie, watching the Cowboys, playing in that arena. These guys, if we're able to talk to Sonny, one of the big things we're going to ask is, how big a focus is that? How big a focus is it to be playing for the state, playing for the university, playing for the name on the front of the jersey instead of the name on the back? I think they've built that just with the folks that they've got in here. It's going to be hard to ignore that this is the team for Wyoming.
Sure. I'm trying to think. We'll save our starting five for last. We did talk about Will Martin, who came over from Western Missouri. We don't really know much more about him other than, right, Sundance and him have that bond of coaching that school. And so that's a big jump over for him. But I have to assume that he shares a lot of the same values Sundance does, and that's why he's on staff.
If you watch interviews with Will Martin from his days at Missouri Western and from any press conferences that he's done, he and Sundance are cut from the same cloth.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's passionate. Some might say he's a little bit nuts. He is going to be a really good fit for this coaching staff.
Okay, great. So here I found an article that just popped up in one of my news lines here. Get your thoughts on not a whole lot of people writing about Mountain West basketball on a regular basis, but out of Nevada, Chris Murray.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you're familiar with him.
One of the better writers in the conference.
Yeah, he is. He just came out with ranking the 20 best transfers that come to the Mountain West. So I thought, since you follow a lot of these names, I don't, kind of get your thoughts and see how many Wyoming players made this list. Does that sound good?
Yeah, for sure. So right off the top of my head, you're going to got.
Oh yeah, you want to take a couple guesses who you think might be in here? Sure.
There's going to be the North Dakota State guy that landed at where'd he go? New Mexico. There's the UCLA transfer that landed at Boise.
Okay.
God, who else?
I'll give you one more, and then we'll get moving through it.
Probably the center from Utah that landed at Utah State. Those would be my guesses.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. I'm trying to get this to work. I don't think it's going to scroll. Here we go. Now we're scrolling. All right. How about Kamani Hamilton ending up at UNLV from High Point?
Yeah.
Well,
from Mississippi State. He was at High Point for a while. Yeah. He's going to be a problem. UNLV is going to be good. Things are going to be interesting to watch in Vegas this year.
Okay. Utah State makes it second, but not with the guy you talked about. This is a guy from Corpus Christi and Tarleton before that. So I guess he comes from the same school as our Corpus Christi guy, Gary Clark.
Yeah, he and Demarion Dennis were teammates.
Yep.
Gary Clark was a wing over there. Again, another guy, high-level scorer, high-level rebounder. Utah State is upgraded.
Okay, here, I'll let you look at. I don't want to comment on all of them, but anybody jumps out, I guess, 3 through 7 here.
Yeah, Chris Howell at New Mexico is going to be a big deal. They got Eric Olin from UC San Diego, and he brought a bunch of coaches over with him. This is one of the transfers that he brought over.
Okay,
he's going to be good. I still think Javis Miller is going to be a freaking monster for New Mexico. They're just reloading, man.
Oh, there we go. That's the guy. He's the center from North Dakota State. Oh, he's a guard, it says.
Yeah, he's a guard. He was the unquestioned leader of North Dakota State.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we come down the list, and how about at number 9, Caden Bennett?
Yep. Caden Bennett, again, he's going to be our scorer. Yeah. Good free throw shooter, good three-point shooter. He's going to come through, and he's going to see a lot of minutes for us. I think it's kind of cheating for Chris Murray to have Dayton Albury on here because he transferred within the conference, but he's another big pickup for New Mexico who is going to be scary good.
Yeah. Drew Fielder, a center from Georgetown, is going to be at Boise.
Yep.
And coming out at number 11 is Demarion Dennis.
Yeah. Demarion Dennis is going to be such a good player for us. Again, not going to stuff the stat sheet, but man, we're going to be happy he's there.
Yeah, so he's at 11, which I find interesting because we'll just beat to the punch. Because if you scroll down here, he's got him rated higher than Walker.
Yeah, which is surprising to me, but I'm not mad about it.
No, it's good, right? To have 2 point guards.
Yeah,
Yes,
coming
please.
from having essentially 1.5 with Obi playing the point, but he wasn't really a point
Yeah.
guard, and then AJ Will's coming in, and he is a true point guard. But yeah, that's going to be probably our strongest position on the court, I would guess.
So yeah, I was surprised to see 3 Wyoming players in this top 20 list.
Yeah,
From a guy who covers the Mountain West most of any journalist, for sure.
Yeah, him and Jeff Brammer down in New Mexico, they both do an excellent job.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and
so
that's
I
not
didn't know if you
knocking
saw
any
that.
of our local beat writers. It's just these are 2 guys from other schools that do a good job too.
Yeah. So I thought I'd share that with you.
Yeah. One thing that shouldn't be overlooked was Josh Pasquarelli going to Colorado State, the guy from Marist. He's across pretty much any transfer list. He's near the top. That's a really good gift for the Sheep, and I want nothing more than to see him lose in Laramie every game that he ever plays there.
Very good. May so it be. All right. Well, I guess it's time to do our hypothetical starting lineups, knowing nothing about anything of these players other than what we've read. Let's kind of take our shot in the dark here, Mr. Bryan, about who we think. I got mine written down on this sticky note.
Yeah, I've got mine up here. So point guard, I honestly have no idea. Both of these guys could start. Both of these guys are going to see tons of minutes. I'm going to give the nod to Leland Walker because he's an upperclassman, because he's had such great success at a tournament school. I think Leland Walker is going to start at the point for us, but he and Demarion Dennis are going to be subbing in and out for each other often.
Hopefully, I kind of like that idea. And of course, Sonny's not going to say anything publicly on that, I wouldn't think. But yeah, I've got Walker as the starter too, and Dennis as the backup, obviously. And I think, yeah, they're both going to play a lot. And especially if we play at a higher tempo, which I think is, I don't know. I'm still on the fence because I don't think he wants to play at a faster tempo. But I think with the way this roster's built, he almost has to.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got the way this roster is built, it's pretty much set up for running the floor, and it's definitely set up for a deep bench, which we saw that Sonny likes last year.
Yeah. All right. I think the most competitive spot on this team by far is the 2 guard spot. And I have no idea what's going to happen.
I've got Bennett penciled in there now. I wouldn't be surprised to see Harris play. Again, Bennett's a more experienced player. That's who my money's on, is we're going to see Caden Bennett in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I've got Bennett as the starter and then Rojas behind him. And I got Harris third right now. But again, who knows? I mean, if Harris focuses and just balls out, he could be your starter. But then I guess the good point is we've got 3 guys to choose from at this spot. One of them's a proven scorer in Division I basketball, in Bennett. You got Rojas, who was a JUCO All-American. And then you got Harris, the 4-star recruit. So quite the battle to see. That shooting guard battle is going to be pretty interesting to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have for sure.
And to see if we do play small, if we have times where we have a real small lineup, maybe you have Walker and Dennis playing together at the guard positions, and then maybe Bennett or Rojas or Harris probably can. He's athletic enough size-wise to, kind of play that a 3, but not maybe a traditional 3.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Euro 3.
I'm not sure if we'll see Walker and Dennis on the floor at the same time. They're both pretty small. They're both 6'1". It'll happen, of course, but I don't think it's going to be a regular thing we see.
Sure, yeah. All right, small forward, who you got? Another interesting mix of players.
At this moment, I've got Belich starting at the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we did hear from Sonny in his Twitter post where he said Portal Kombat was over. He talked about position changes. Belich might be one that he moved more into a forward position than a guard. But right now, I think Belich is starting on the wing.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Belich, Harakau, and then Meyer.
Same. And
Okay.
Spielman. Spielman's on that list too.
Sure, yeah, I didn't put the walk-ons on here. But
Yeah.
yeah, he would slot into that small forward slot for sure. All right, power forward. I already know what you're going to say.
It's Abu Mikasa.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So you're going somewhere else then. Okay, I got you.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think Abu gets in the starting lineup on this one.
As a
And
power
just
forward.
to give away the 5 spot too, both of these guys are technically power forwards, but I think it's going to be Magassa and Saxon are the starting front court.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I've got Magasa at power forward, but I have Saxon as his backup.
Yeah, I've got both of them starting. I don't think there's any way in hell they brought Saxon in for him to sit on the bench. I think he's going to be starting at the 5.
Okay. It's possible. I mean, they started Cole Henry in a lot of games when he was healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're saying, hey, he's our Cole Henry, then I could see that happening 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess I just call this post. It's not really a center.
Well, I think all these guys are pretty well centers. Like they're not going to be bringing the ball up the floor or stepping out to shoot a 3 very often. I think they're more pure post players than we've seen in a while.
Sure. But maybe I still say a little too undersized to be a true center.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think to like 90s basketball when I'm thinking centers. So that's how that's my prism.
I mean, Charles Barkley was a center and he was 6'6", so
Yeah. So post wise, it's got to be Gores, right?
they're all freshmen. I think
I know you got Saxon, but I got Gores in that slot.
It's going to be as far as the 3 freshman bigs we've got. It's going to be Gores, Sadi, Summers. I think is the order I've got them in, and I could be way off.
Yeah,
Again, these are all high school players.
That's what summer and fall is going to tell.
Yeah,
it's going to be really interesting to see how that shakes out. But you're right, our true size is all in those 3 guys, and right, we're going to see who grows up the quickest.
Yeah, because when those 3 guys were 6'10", 6'9", 6'9", so they've got size. There's no 7-footers there, but the difference between 6'9" and 7 foot isn't nearly as big as you think when you start talking wingspans.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, we don't know their wingspans, right? Because that is a huge difference.
Yeah, but I'll be very interested to see how that position comes along because, I mean, Magoon Goff plays in this conference. We're going to see him twice. Yeah. That guy's a stud, and he's huge. That's a problem. Yeah, you've got the transfer over from Utah. I forget his name off the top of my head. He's a big boy. He's 6'10", 280. Like, we're going to need people in there that are able to absorb the contact like Scotty Bube did last year. Except maybe without fouling out by the time the national anthem gets done playing.
I know that is going to be the challenge there. And to see how these guys kind of play, because really we haven't had like I guess since Ike left, right? We really haven't had a whole lot of production.
No, we had Mason Walter.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Mason Walter had that 1 year, but he was hurt for a while, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But when he played, I mean, he was good, and he was a guy who stepped up from NAIA.
Yeah, he was the NAIA Player of the Year, so he played at a high level, and good basketball is good basketball.
But that's that's just a crazy jump, right? NAIA to mid-tier D1, and he looked good, and as far as I know, he's still playing professional ball like in Europe or somewhere.
Yeah, I think he's in Turkey, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the main thing you're going to see in this roster is depth. There is depth everywhere.
Yeah, which we didn't have.
We're going to be playing 9-10 players a game.
Hopefully. And at speed. I think that's the way we got to do it. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not sure because I don't think he wants to play at speed. But maybe he does. But he's not going to come out and say that. Or he may. I don't know. It will be interesting.
Yeah, we'll be sure to ask if we get the opportunity.
We'll ask him, yeah. I don't know. Because I think it's malpractice if you're not playing fast and Laramie. It just makes no sense to me not to do it. And we haven't played at tempo since
you and I were in college.
Since what?
Since you and I were in college.
Yeah, since McLean was, I mean, we weren't super fast, but it was fast enough to make a difference.
Yeah.
Like Shyatt was a really good coach, but playing games in the 40s and 50s at altitude makes no little sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, you can still wear people down by moving the ball around, but I'd rather watch a track meet than a wrestling match, you know?
So, and I guess I should say that because we played no defense, like when Edwards was like really bad, there was some tempo.
Yeah.
Just because those were track meets, because we weren't playing defense, the other team wasn't playing defense. So, but that wasn't by design, I don't think.
No, I mean, each coach is going to come in and focus on something different. The well-balanced ones are the ones that you see getting paid, and you see in the Final Four every other year. Your Tom Izzo's, your Brad Underwoods, Sean Miller, Shaka Smart, those guys.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so there we go. So the roster's built, and now we wish everybody good health, right? That's the key thing. Hopefully everybody gets workouts in, they get stronger. We don't have any freak injuries.
Yeah. We should mention we did have a signee, Buddy Hammer.
Oh yeah,
That came to us. He was released from his commitment. No reason was given.
personal
But
reasons.
that's where Sim Martin
electric
Sadi
board.
came on, and I think that's an upgrade. But I was pretty excited to see Hammer play. His highlight tapes were impressive.
Oh, that guy was gonna like be top 5 in the league in rebounding.
Oh
He
yeah,
would come over. Just
yeah.
ridiculous on the boards.
So I hope everything's okay with him. We're sorry we couldn't see him play in the brown and gold, but best of luck to him.
Mm-hmm. So all right. Any final words, Mr. Bryan Stevens?
Hopefully this isn't something we see year in and year out where we're like, okay, here are the 3 guys that stuck around, and let's talk about the rest of them.
Yeah, let's not do that next year. It would be 4 years in a row if that happens again.
Yeah. Realistically, if we can keep 6 to 7 players a year, we should see that as a sign of success.
Yeah, I think that would be very welcome at this point in time. Because, right, if a couple of these guys pop, they're going to go to bigger and better things. So I don't mind losing a handful, but we can't go for 4 years in a row of a complete roster rebuild. It's just not sustainable.
We can't. And we don't have an $8 million NIL budget like the school in Provo. That is not to be mentioned.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining us on this roundup. It is good to see you all. And yeah, we'll be back. We're going to try to do a lot of interviews this summer. Different things too. Maybe some not sports related, but still Wyoming related. I've got a couple ideas. Some ideas I've been kicking around in my head for a while. Instead of asking Brad, I'm just going to do them, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
We're just going to do it.
And, I have a personal goal to interview every coach on the basketball staff this year, including the strength coach.
There we go. I like it.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But we'd like to hear from them. We'd like to hear, why are you here? What are you doing? What's your focus?
Should be possible.
Our interview with Nick Whitmore last year was fantastic.
It was.
That guy was fascinating. It was great to talk to.
Yep. And so, yeah, and then we'll be doing some football stuff here soon. Those position breakdowns is where I'm kind of focusing that they're releasing on the website. We'll kind of look at the names that are coming out in there and how Wyoming is looking for the football season, which we should be getting a TV schedule here soon. TV games are starting to come out in college football, and I think most of the major conferences are expecting to have their times filled this month. So I think the Mountain West will probably be a little bit after that, right, as they clean up the scratch. So I'm guessing like early June, if not sooner, and we'll have all the TV and kickoff times for Wyoming football.
Hey, call me foolish, but I'm high on the football team this year.
I will call you foolish. So with that, thank you, everybody. Great to be here as always. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back soon with another WyoNation Roundup. Everybody take care and have a good rest of your week.
Go Pokes.